Welcome and welcome back to the In My Father's House podcast. I am your host, Reah Stevenson, with my co-host,
Ruel Stevenson.
and welcome to episode 5. In last week's episode, we covered the...
Dating scene.
Yeah, we covered dating scene in a sense, not really, but we talked about more so our version and, of course, the things that we've talked about and covered. And in today's episode, we'll actually be having part 2 of that, but leading more into, what comes after courting and what comes after. What is, of course, basically the end result of our courting or our situation that we have planned or whatever. And actually, today's question kind of leads into that. It is from Brianna Sylvester.
Yes, Brianna Sylvester. Yeah.
Okay. And it says, Reah, what qualities in your dad do you like that you want to see in your husband? And that kind of leads with the whole concept of you end up marrying somebody who's similar to your dad, which is kind of weird for me because it's like, I don't want to date nobody that's like my dad. But for me, qualities that I see in dad that I would potentially like in a husband would probably be your determination, in a sense, that you like strive after the things that you want for your family. And I don't want that in a husband because, that determination is gonna basically help us. And you no matter the struggles or difficulties that you go through, you still fight through it and go through it because, at the end of the day, it's gonna benefit us. That's probably a quality that I like. Something else, you're very family oriented. Very family oriented. What do you think?
I think you're right. But the thing is, right? She asked what qualities, right? And I'm like looking at you like, hold up, wait, what? You have to think about that?
I didn't have to think. I said one almost immediately.
She's like, oh, let me think for a second.
I literally said one almost immediately.
Right.
But yeah, your determination, you're family oriented. What else? I think those are top 2 that I see a lot.
Do what?
That I see a lot. Those are the top 2 qualities in you that I see a lot. That I see you show. I don't know what else.
Oh, okay. I guess. I'm funny.
In a dad jokes kind of way. You're funny in a dad jokes kind of way.
Okay.
But with that, we're going to lead into our topic today, which will be, of course, what comes after courting.
All right.
What comes after, the whole process? How long should it be? Is there a certain time limit and that sort? So what would you say is, of course, the end goal of me being in a courtship with somebody?
Basically, the end result of courting is a marriage, a union, not just with the young man, but with his family as well. And it's where, of course, you have to examine the young man and see what qualities he brings to the table. And there's a lot of different questions that was asked based upon the last episode that we have. Like, I was having a conversation with a client of mine, and he's like, "Hey, what are so after this, what are you guys gonna expect, or just different things like that." But the end result of courting is marriage.
Yeah.
You have a family, right? And it's not just a family of the husband and wife. It's more or less his family and our family, and how do we mesh together? The best thing I can relate that to is if you ever seen the African movies or the African cultures, right? So certain African countries, they'll have where the family would meet and they will talk and they will do things together and they'll get along, right? All the while, these two people are keeping their relationship pure. On their wedding day is when they actually consummate or bring the family together. They typically have a traditional wedding, right? And I think I was talking to a guy that over here now, they're starting to do traditional weddings like the African do. And then they'll have the African type of wedding where the family meets and they'll different things. And then they'll have the American way of marrying. So it's very family oriented.
Yeah.
You keep yourself for your husband to be. He keeps himself for his wife to be. And then on the marriage, you start the date. After marriage, No, there's nothing wrong with you going out, going to the park, seeing a little concert. Yeah, not a crazy concert, but you know what I mean. I want to just say it for the camera. Not a concert like Beyonce or Jay-Z or Lil Kim or whatever. No, not that type of concert. But a classical concert, something that you know what I mean will edify. What's your thoughts?
I definitely agree. Like that's why I say when it comes to what we're doing, even though it shouldn't just be what we're doing, but unfortunately in the world that we live in, it is a thing that like when you mention it, when you talk about it, it's not a common thing. But like the thing that I guess sets us apart and like you're saying, the lady who wants to do it is like it's a mindset thing, not just a physical thing. Like physically you can be like, yeah, I want this and I want that, but if your mindset doesn't fit with it, you're not going to be able to do it, because you can say, oh, I want a court, but then when your mindset isn't lined up with what you're saying, you might get into something, and then because you're not like in it fully, you might end up, sleeping with him because you weren't in it fully like you said you were. So with us, it's more than just like for example, for me personally, it's more than just oh, my dad said I have to do this, so I'm going to do this. It's also connecting your mind with it and understanding that even though, because like, for example, if I get like a guy or whatever and we go out, it's going to be uncomfortable. In a sense it is, but then at the same time, I have to remember in my mind that like, this isn't just for me. It's not just for him. It's to make sure that all of us, that there's nothing that basically dilutes, or not dilutes, but like, what's the word? Basically messes up what we have going on.
Okay.
And so there's nothing that, that we stay on the
right track.
Exactly. And we don't divert here, divert there. And we keep it going, we stay, on a narrow path till we reach marriage, and then, move on from there.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that, again, like I've always said, right? I mean, the parent has to be the one to like teach their daughter from a young age, right? To trust their judgments and I don't make all the right decisions. I'm not even gonna lie, I don't make all the right decisions. I haven't made all the right decisions. I haven't done everything perfectly, right? I think when it comes to me being open, I think one of the reasons why we talk like this and different things, and I wouldn't even want to attribute it to myself, but I believe the fact that I'm very open with you, right? I'm gonna give an example of how open I am, right? So remember there was a time, right, when I wanted to date a young lady, right? Well, I wouldn't say date, I mean, she was my friend. I had some interest, she had some interest in me. And, it's somebody that I saw myself being with. So because I saw that, and you never met her, actually. You never met her until, you met her as my friend. That's it, we were just friends. And I remember I asked you, hey, Reah, I would like to talk to this young lady. Right? You know what I'm talking about, right? Erin.
Okay.
So anyhow, long story short, I asked her, like, hey, Reah, this is a young lady that I'm interested in, and I would like to talk with her. And you're like, oh my gosh, Dad, I'm not ready yet. I can't do this. And I let it go. You know what I mean? I let it go. But she's married now. She have a child and everything, right? Kudos to you. And at the time we were talking, we were fond of each other. But then we kind of decided, hey, let's just remain friends. And it's like, hey, let's just remain friends. And I think it was a couple months afterwards, you and I were driving to New York or something. And in the car, you're like, oh, Dad. After a couple hours into the drive, you're like, hey, I'm ready now. So I'm thinking to myself, like, what are you talking about? You're ready about what? Like, I'm ready now. I'm like, can you give me something? Like, I think you were like about 7, 8 or something like that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I have no clue. And then you're like, a couple months ago, you asked me about, you're ready to like, start seeing someone and different things. You wanted to see this person. Well, I'm ready now. In my head now, I'm like, yeah, well, that's good. But that person and I decided to just be friends. I'm like, okay, well, I thank you so much. I really appreciate you getting back to me on that one. But I didn't know you were thinking about it. But you know, it goes to show that the fact that I'm willing to open up my life, because it's not just my life. My life is your life. Your life is my life. And parents kind of think like, okay, well, I'll see who I want to see. I'll date who I want to date. I'll do whatever I want to do. And my child is supposed to just do what I say. Most times children do what they see versus what the parents say. So if they're seeing the parents running down a whole bunch of men or women, they're going to think that's okay. So, yeah.
I just want to say we'll definitely talk about like go more into like our dynamic, because we don't have like the traditional family, and that is also a topic that plays into that, is like the concept of introducing the people to our family. Because it's like one thing that I've noticed but one thing I've heard of in families of today that scares me when it comes to like, you know, introducing new people is like, for example, girls who, you know, have like their mother brings in something new and something happens to them. Mm-hmm. And I know for the way our family's set up, that's never gonna happen. But it's just sad to me because like sometimes you'll hear the mother who takes their partner's side rather than the daughter's side. I'm like, what? Are you serious?
Man.
And a lot of the times it's because it's a sense of like insecurity. Whereas like women are insecure in themselves, they find that security in their partner, and because they find their security, they don't want that security to leave, so they stick with them. Meanwhile, your daughter is being hurt. And of course, we'll go deeper into that when we have an actual topic on, you know, our dynamic and stuff. But stuff like that is like, wow.
You know, it's funny. I literally speak to people on different times, right? Where literally. Exactly what you described. The young lady's telling me that my mother chose her boyfriend over her, and the boyfriend was molesting her. And when she told her mother, the mother's telling her she's lying. And I'm like, pause, hold up, ready or not? That's crazy. I'm sorry, security or not. And the thing is too, the child is like, okay, if you're supposed to protect me and you're not, then who will? And then she goes, and it goes back to like why we even started this channel in the first place, because a lot of young girls today don't have fathers or father figures, like we mentioned in the last episode, in their lives. So now that yearning for that father comes out. Flip it around, that young man does not have a mother figure. Well, that mother was maybe abusive or whatever, but he doesn't have his father to teach him certain things. When they come together, they're explosive. They're like nitroglycerin, because she wants a father figure and he needs a father figure. He doesn't know how to treat a woman. He might have seen his mom being abused and all that stuff. So he comes up and he starts to do the same thing to her. And she stays there because some kind of weird way she feels secure. Getting her head bashed in. And it's sad, but it's a cycle that needs to be broken. And this is why we kind of like started this channel, because we need to talk about these difficult things that people go through. I mean, I look at stuff on YouTube, I look at a lot, people making jokes about a lot of different things, which is, some of them are funny, making light of different things. But who's sitting down talking about the real harsh truth about what's supposed to happen? If a young lady keeps herself from marriage, like literally when I was talking to, can't call the name, but I was actually by a client, I was talking to a few of the people there, and I had this guy and the young lady, they're sitting down there. And she's telling me, both of them are telling me that I'm crazy. Just wait till she gets out there, or when she gets some freedom, and I'm like, okay. I mean, if you get out there and you decide to abandon everything and decide to live crazy, then that's what you do. That I cannot stop you. Well, let me not say that, but you know what I mean? But the thing is, that's what you do. You live careless. But if you live careless, you have careless consequences. I'll give an example. There are people today that keep themselves for marriage. They kept themselves for marriage. They didn't play around, they didn't do all this stuff. And they got married, and their husband were their first. No, it should be the same thing for the man as well. There's no double standards. The man should be keeping himself. And that's something that, we don't teach our young boys. But then the young boys don't have fathers or father figures. A mother can't be a father, period. A father can't be a mother, period. So people are having all these babies, and these babies are growing. Oh, he's so cute, huh? You know what's funny? That whole thought of baby comes into play. It's like the society of being brainwashed or dumbed down from like a young. When you have a little child, a little girl, well, what's one of the first things the parents give them? I don't think they can hear you. But I don't think they heard you. A doll. And the doll, and most times it's like what? A baby doll. And that child, oh, it's my baby. Conditioning the child's mind to start thinking early, I need to have a baby. I need to have a baby. I need to have a baby. But the child can't interpret that. They just have this little doll, this little baby doll, and then it grows up to like this grown adult doll now, wearing the adult dolls, wearing clothes and skimpy clothes and all that stuff. And so it's if the doll can do it, and then she gets a little skimpy clothes on, she's comfortable with it. She's comfortable with it. So the parents are the ones that's kind of like, and again, these marketing people that market and they put these things inside the stores and that kind of stuff, they distract their children. They do it because the child will want, oh, I want this, I want Teletubby, I want all this stuff. No, I gotta say that when you were younger, we never bought dolls, and that's one thing I was against. Don't buy my daughter any doll. It's a waste of time. But you did get certain things that you did play with, right? But for the most part, we communicated together, and I shared with you my shortcomings. Again, like I said, being open, right? I've been open with you in regards to what I used to do when I was growing up, because I didn't have the directions. Most of the stuff that I learned was from the streets. My friends, friends, you grew up seeing guys doing all kind of stuff. And my friends were older. They didn't really have a father figure too. And their father was pretty much doing the same thing, the wrong thing. So we were like, well, hey, they trickle down. Oh man, they're macking girls. They're pulling chicks here and there. I'm the young guy. It's expected for me to pull girls too. And it was like almost like a conquest. Like, yes. And one thing I'll tell you, it's a psychological or psyche kind of thing, right? Some men know this, some men don't. But they use it very well. If you want to sleep with a woman, you want to sleep with her, you don't know her, go over to her and be relaxed, be jovial, but make her laugh. That's the key right there. Make her laugh. If you can make a woman laugh, you can get any woman. So when a guy comes to you like, girl, and you done there, all your barriers are being taken down, but you don't even know. You know I know this? Because I used to use the exact same tactic, right? And some of my friends, we understood this from like I was like 15, 16. You make a girl laugh, man, next thing you know, boom, had her. And that's sad. That's really, I'm not condoning, I'm just letting my daughter know I'm giving her the secrets. And I'm telling you guys the same thing. I'm being open. I made women laugh. Not girls too. Women laugh. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, you're so this. Girl, stop playing. But next thing you know, we're sleeping together. No, I look back and I'm not bragging about it. I'm actually, I would say hurt, but hurt is not even the word. Because I don't look back at my past and I don't celebrate my past. But I understand. For my daughter to understand going into this world, I must be open with her. Because she has to know what to expect. And if my dad tell me, well, hey, you're gonna come and you're gonna try to make me laugh and you're gonna come with all this little talking, whatever. You're not the one I need to talk to, because you can't even go to my dad with that foolishness. That's how you have to approach life. Approach your mindset. And after we sit down, we have a conversation with him, you know, we meet his family eventually. Because, and understand, so look, the whole premise is when me, you and the young man, we're going out and we're doing different things, is to keep the relationship honest. His mother should come, or his father should come, and we all just go out. It keeps it honest, keeps it pure, right? There's gonna come a time where you guys are gonna go out by yourselves, but through the courtship, that's not the time. It's not the time. As a matter of fact, if you look at it in the Bible, it was Jacob. Remember, he had 2 wives, right? Jacob, he was in love with Rachel, but that relationship wasn't a defiled relationship. It wasn't a foul relationship in terms of he didn't sleep with her, he didn't have any kind of touching it wasn't, because where she was, in her father's home. Where was Leah? In her father's home. Yes, Laban, you know what I mean, kind of did him wrong in terms of like, on the wedding day, he presented his Leah to him. But then he loved Rachel, and he worked the next 7 years for the love of his life. When you love someone, a pure love, it's like time is but a fleeting moment. And he loved her. So when a man truly desired to be with you, he's already taking care of business over here. Got a good career, his ambition, his future. And again, you know, I don't look at, money's not the issue. It's what are you doing to take care of family, right? And then of course, you know, I had a discussion in regards to what you being, because you have to learn to support your husband. Like you say, you want to be home. So anyhow, yeah.
That actually leads into another question I had, because it's talking about like how women are supposed to stay home and take care of the family, but then it's like in our modern day today, it's common for a woman to go to work and stuff like that. So how would that, in a sense, balance? Because like, for example, with me going into law, I'm not going to be able to stay home because, of course, I have to try cases, I have to go to work. But then at the same time, I do want to stay home when I reach the point where it's like I said before, I want to be able to stay home and take care of my kids. So it's
Grandkids.
Like, no, not anytime soon.
Grandkids?
Not anytime soon. But it's like, how, I guess, for me, is that wrong that I want to work? Because I actually do. Like, I actually want to practice law, but then at the same time, it's said that a woman should be able to, a woman should stay home to take care of her family and her husband.
No, I'll ask you this question, right? Who said that? Who said a woman should stay home?
I can't say quote exactly, but I mean, that's what I've been taught.
Okay, so you're saying a woman should stay home, right? All right. So I use the Bible as a standard. If you go back to Proverbs 31, right? And I wanna have you read it real quick, right? Loud and clear. Proverbs 31. Let me see. It's very short, but I'm trying to see exactly from where. Okay, good wife, right there, right? Good wife. And read it real quick, loud and clear. Just the good wife part, right? And I want you to, as you read it, you'll understand who that woman is.
Who can find a virtuous woman when her practice far above her? Shall pardon her husband that safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ship. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night and giveth food to her household and her portion.
Pause. You notice what she's doing? She's getting up early in the morning. She's preparing for her husband, her family, and her maidens. That's her servants. She's taking care of her servants, right? She's like a merchant. She has a business. Yeah, continue.
She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hand she plants a vineyard. She girded her loins with strength and strengthened her arms. She perceived that her merchandise was good. Her candle goeth out not her candles not go up. Her candle goeth not out by night. She lays her hands to the spindle, and her hands folded it back. She stretches out her hand to the poor, and seeing she reaches forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid.
So she's giving, right? So you see all the stuff that she's doing? All right, good, continue.
She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry, her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gate when he sits among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have been birthed in sleep, but thou art selling them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that fears the Lord shall be free. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own work praise her.
So, to answer your question, right? No, I think this kind of answer your question. Because the woman, right? And this is why motherhood is such a very, some people think that fathers are the fathers is like the guy that's representing the family. That's all he's like, the representative of the family, right? But the mother does the heavy lifting kind of somewhat, right? And today you have a lot of women today that think that, I should be a housewife. That's laziness. That's slothfulness. That woman gets up in the morning and she takes care of her husband, she takes care of her children, and she takes care of her maidens. She's wise when it comes to business. Do you understand stocks? Do you know stock? Do you know anything about trading? Do you understand finance? Do you understand budgeting? Like, how are you with money? She said, she considered a vineyard. She considered it. And she buys it. And from the fruit of her hands, she plants. So it's like, while the husband gone out there, he's working, whatever, she is industrious. She buys linen, yarn, and she sells it. Matter of fact, she dresses her husband in fine raiment, and she dresses her children too. And her works praise her. So in the gates, meaning the gates, right, where the husband goes, meaning amongst his friends, she's well known because the way he carries himself, she takes care of him. So if you want to be a lawyer or have your own business, and you're taking care of your family, your husband, while he's the prime minister or the owner of the garbage truck company, or even a consultant, whatever it is, right? While you're taking care of him, right? That's a part of your duty. Today, women is like they watch all this nonsense on TV, and then they don't understand truly what they've been called for. You see a lot of women today, but then you see it's not just about, I have a job and I'm bringing money home to the house. No. It's about your attitude towards your husband as well. It's about your attitude towards your family. How do you speak to your husband? Is your words of life? Is your words of death? Do you bring him down or do you lift him up? The Bible talks about it. And at some point we'll go over back Proverbs 31. We look at everything. It's like, wow, people, the woman's supposed to be home. Yeah. But you're home, not slothful. You're home, you're educated. When I say educated, you understand. And people think going to school is education, right? You don't have to go to school to have an education. You read books and you're knowledgeable. You can actually relate. Or if you're talking about business, you're talking about finance, you're talking about stocks, you're talking about options. You want to do options, right? I'm like, no, start off with stocks. You're like, Dad, but come on. And we talk about stuff. You learn these things. So I know you don't talk much about yourself and the things that you know and the things you're learning, but what do you think of this reading after you just read it? What do you think of it? What's your thoughts now in regards to what you've quote unquote heard in regards to a woman staying home and stuff?
I mean, in the reading, it didn't necessarily mention about a woman going out to work. It sounded more like she stayed home, but she still made herself productive. She was still a productive woman. And like you said, she considered the field. She bought it. She still. It wasn't like a woman who just stayed around and did nothing. She actually like got up early, got things done for herself, her husband, and her family, rather than just sitting around or whatever. And that applies to like traits that I want to have. Like I want to be industrious and be able to like consider something. And like for example, I told you that I want to do real estate eventually and consider different houses or whatever. And that is something that she did as well. So it's just basically attaining those same traits makes yourself a good wife.
Gotcha. And it's like I got something that came to my mind. But when you look at the woman today, right? Industrious does not necessarily mean you have to go out there and work in a factory or whatever. It just simply means that she's careful or wise when it comes to business, right? So if your business or your industry is legal services, then that's your industry that you're in, right? If you're doing real estate or some kind of services, that's just the industry. Might be transportation or whatever. That's just your industry, right? And it's sitting down with your husband and seeing where he wants to go and seeing, but this is before the whole marriage. Is having, okay, he's over in the couch over there, you over here and I'm over here. His mother, father could be there. And you guys are talking in regards to, or we're all talking in regards to where you guys want to go and how we can assist, right? And then at the union of the marriage, right, is where you leave from my home and go into his home. And people, somebody asked the question, right? Let me ask the question. Do you live in my home right now?
No.
I don't understand why it's like you made it seem like a trick question. Do you physically live?
No.
Okay, you don't physically live in my home, right? But does the principles, right, and the guides from my home govern you still? Okay, so even though you're not physically in my home, you're in my home because, again, I don't have to be there for you to be in my home. And so somebody asked me, like, wait, does your daughter live with you? I'm like, no, she lives with her mother. And they're like, wait, yeah? And he said, in my father's house. I said, yeah. And I said, so I want to talk a little bit more about the dynamic, how, just to shed some light. So you don't live in my home, physical home, right? I'll get you, we'll spend time together. And you know what I mean? Your mom and I get along when it comes to spending time with each other. Like you and I spend time with each other and everything, right? And your mom is very good extent respectful of my position in your life, right? And she's never kept you from me, no matter how much, when in the beginning we didn't like each other, we don't like each other, practically probably might have hated each other or whatever, right? Your mom, I don't think she ever hated me. I just think that she doesn't like me, right? But the same token, she didn't withhold you from me. And so I remember one time, literally, she, there was something major that was going on with you. I think when you were getting braces and stuff and so. And every time she would bring it up, I was like, no, I don't want my daughter to get braces. One time your mom was like, Ruel, she needs braces. I'm like, no, she doesn't need braces. And when you went and did the x-ray, and the way the x-ray showed your teeth, I didn't want you, because I looked at the x-ray and I looked at your mouth, right? And I'm like, but it's not a bad overbite, right? Well, hold on. So I was like, it's not a bad overbite. But your mom was like, Ruel, can I please make this decision, right? Let me take this one. And just the way she asked me, right? I had no choice but to say yes. I mean, I could have still said no, like, no, she's not getting it. And then she's like, all right, fine, whatever. But she's like, can I please make this decision, Ruel? I'm like, that's fine, go ahead, right? You take point in this one. And literally you had braces. And I'm like, okay, well, it is what it is. But it's just the fact that she was very respectful, right? And that's a I was trying to put it, not hint, but that's kudos to your mom, right? Now I'll tell all a lot of women out there who are very selfish or I'm gonna make decisions. Your mom could have like, well, I'm gonna do it because it's my daughter and whatever. She could have been like that, and then it'll been like, how should I put it, a rift between us raising you, right? And then it'd be like one thing here and then something else. But she literally went out of her way to, you know what I mean? We're not best of friends, right? We're not even friends. It's like we communicate, we get along, we deal with each other because we have a child together. But you know what I mean? We're very cordial, right? If I need to talk to her about something about you, I go to the phone and call her. If you talk to something about me, she'll call me and we go from there. So today, women, they're being very spiteful towards their father because he don't want to be with her. It wasn't no relationship, it was a booty thing. And then the man is being very spiteful towards her because he doesn't want to grow up and be a man and take care of his responsibilities. And people keep missing each other, right? But I just wanted to share a little bit about, you know what I mean, our dynamics in a sense. We'll talk more because...
Yeah, like I said earlier, we'll definitely, there's a lot to it. So we'll definitely make like an episode dedicated to it. But it all, in a sense, plays into our entire, you know, like I said, dynamic.
Definitely. I think, but it's a pretty good stopping point right now. We'll come back and we'll talk about it some more. Maybe part 3. I don't know. But you know, we talk about like again what happens after, you know what I mean, the date, the courtship. We talk about the end result is marriage and how we get to that point. And we kind of give a little bit more information, guys. If there's anything in particular you guys want to hear or know or see, please don't hesitate to ask, because we're not, in a sense, we're not public figures, but we're public figures, right? And we're making ourselves available. Ask questions, right? Definitely reach out to us. We check the comments. We check the comments daily, and we get notifications. We respond back. Either myself or Reah will tag our names to it. So if we send you a comment, we'll put our name and you'll know that is one of us actually respond to it. But if you have a specific question for Reah, ask her. If you have a specific question for me, ask me. We want you guys to get involved in this conversation, this discussion, because in a sense, it takes a village to raise a child. And we kind of have a village mentality which we need to bring back to the masses, because people have lost their way. They've definitely lost their way. They don't know who they are. And that's a subject that we need to go into as well. Who we are today. Who we are. Not just from what man say, but going back to what the Bible say. Who we are. So guys, any closing words? Any final words?
With that being said, that is part 2 of our relationship series. Like I said before, if there's any questions or anything that you guys have that we didn't cover or that you want us to go in depth more, we definitely will. But you know, like that said, leave a comment, or we even have the email now in the description. So if there's a personal or private question that you would want to keep anonymous, feel free to email us. What's the email again? In my father's house 77@gmail.com. It's in the description as well. So feel free to reach out. Thank you so much for joining us today. Can't wait to see you guys next week. Bye.